Hello and welcome to AfriDominion. I am Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so much for tuning into our program today. And for those of you joining us live for the very first time, welcome. We are so thrilled that you can find some time out of your busy schedule to join our program today. And those of you who have been around, we are so grateful that you can select or you have chosen AfriDominion broadcasts out of all many thousands of other broadcasts and entertainment that you could be watching right now. So we are super grateful, and we promise that we are going to use this privilege with intent. And with that in mind, guys, if you are visiting us for the very first time, please take some time and write down our information so that you can be able to get in touch with us, especially if we are not having any live broadcasts. And for those of you guys who need to get in touch with us, please, I want to refer you to our website, which is www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. Our main email is info@afridominion.com. info@afridominion.com. And also, you might as well write down our phone number. Our studio number is +1 240 626 7268 +1 240 626 7268. And with that in mind, guys, I want to give you guys a huge welcome. Today we are on Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, and here at our studio we are at 12:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Apologies that we started a little bit late. The biggest reason we are late, we had some technical difficulties with the broadcast that we were going to have. We wanted to have some of our colleagues in Kenya to speak with us live, but unfortunately the technology did not allow them to connect so that we could actually bring you the full broadcast that we had originally scheduled. Nevertheless, for the few minutes we have remaining, we still want to talk about part of what we were going to be discussing with the colleagues in Kenya in real time. However, the phones are open, the social medias are open in case they are able to join in. We welcome you coming into the conversation and have a bite at it. So what do we want to talk about today, guys? Things are very difficult these days, and in particular, demonstrations and the people's welfare. Citizens all across the globe are going through such a hard time in these seasons. You find government clashing with the people, government clashing with citizens and so on, mainly because of discontent, mainly because of policies that the citizens feel like these are not the policies that are in the very best interest of the people. And it is for this reason that the topic for today, we also want to bring it to your table and also give you an opportunity to have a saying. And today we are going to discuss, what do you do when your right to assembly is taken away by the police and result in the loss of life? And here, the case study, it is going to be the country of Kenya, like I was saying. So for those of you guys who are not aware, there has been a turmoil, almost a whole year long of turmoil in Kenya because of the way the government is running business. Be it good or bad, the citizens are not necessarily or fully content with it. They're reminding me that I forgot to say hello to all of you guys. Please, a huge shout out to every single one of you guys joining the broadcast, whether you're watching us from the television, radio station, or social media. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Because we ran a little bit late, I figured that I would jump right in it. But nevertheless, a huge greeting to each and every one of you guys. Claude, I see you. Give you a huge welcome. Lydia, I see you. Johnny, I see you. It is so many of you. If I mention the names, I may not get into it. So, but I'm so grateful that you have found some time out of your busy schedule to come and be a part of the broadcast today. So so like I was saying, guys, we are going through such a hard time as a people because all that is happening right now, especially in various nations throughout the world, we only see the bad news. We only see people, people dying, people like literally in the worst kind of situation ever. And entertainment love to bring you the bad news. I never understood why those with cameras always bring the bad news. but we would love to also bring the good news at the same time. And so let's get right back in it. For over a year now, guys, in Kenya, there's been ups and downs, the clashes between the government officials and the people, the citizens. The Kenyan youth are not happy at all with how the government has been handling their ways of lives, be it from the policy standpoint to the leadership, to the extent that they've been demanding that the government shuts down. Not only that, the last few weeks ago, if you guys have noticed, the Kenyan government literally shut down its network. They shut down the televisions and the radio stations so that they do not broadcast the live demonstrations. Guys, be afraid when the government decides to shut off all forms of communication that it controls. We saw several Kenyan journalists going online to report what was happening, but also to literally speak up that the government was curtailing any means necessary for the word to get out. And that brought me to this conversation right now. The last time I checked, every single nation around the globe, they have some sort of clause, some sort of rights where the people are literally allowed to demonstrate. They're allowed to have a peaceful assembly. Nevertheless, with all those rights guaranteed by the constitutions, but also some of these rights are guaranteed by other provisions within the laws or the guidelines of the law, you still find that the people are still not able to exercise those rights. Kenya, as an example, it's been so bad to the degree that the government has been deploying army, has been deploying the police, has been deploying the secret services to literally quench a lot of these demonstrations. Not only if it simply fuels what's already bad, but to the degrees now that people are literally being unalived. Oftentimes, it's being captured on cameras, guys. And you get to wonder who becomes liable for these senseless death. Imagine the police, who are supposed to protect the people, are the one taking the lives of these young people. Imagine the army that you normally are supposed to trust and believe that they are going to secure you and everything in your property. They are being utilized to come and attack you. And then also imagine when you are being cut off from communication. Guys, these are forms of weaknesses. Governments today, they are afraid of the people. Gone are the days where the people are being laid like sheep, where you tell them to jump and they only ask you how high. Today we have arrived in generations where we question. We are awakening. You just can't tell us just because I say so, take my word for it. Who are you? After all, how are we going to know that you mean well when all the steps you have taken previously shows that you are not looking after the best interest of us, of the community, of our family, and so on? And such is what is becoming evident in Kenya. The government is struggling. The government is struggling to sell to the people that they are working on their behalfs. They're literally working so hard to find the common grounds, but the military and the police are not making it easy. And guess who controls this military? Guess who controls the police? The government. So, according to the reports right now, I want to read, because this is not this is not my own saying. This is a report that has been provided. Up to this very moment, guys, up to this very moment, we talking about, let me give you the numbers of the death, the people who have lost their lives so far, guys. So up to this day, so now I want to give you two numbers or two digits. The first numbers that I'm going to give you, this is the official government number. And then there's an unofficial number. So according to the Kenyan government, since last year up to yesterday, these demonstrations have resulted in the death of minimum of 20 people, according to the government. and as many as 1,056 arrests. The unofficial paper or the unofficial reports, meaning the people on the streets, they have accounted more than 200 young people who have been unalived by the police or some sort of law enforcement agency within Kenya. Guys, we have been so quiet about this because we have been trying to literally observe and see what is happening in Kenya. I don't understand to this very day where a public servant, be it a president or somebody who's punching the cards right at the very bottom of the bottoms, feels that they have so much power to the degree that they authorize for a citizen to be unalived, where they authorize to have a military or a police to utilize lethal forces against its own people. Imagine you work for me and I empower you to the degree you become so fearless of me that you even forget that I gave you the job. Such is what I feel is happening among so many governments, especially African governments. These leaders have forgotten that they work for the people. These leaders, once they have been empowered, they have this police, they have the military, they have the guns next to them, they literally believe and feel that, hey, they can actually literally judge for life or death at any given moment. And whatever it is they say goes. They never remember that they would never stay in office for life. You only have a term. And during that very specific term, you are accountable. And I do not like the fact that we have given immunity to a lot of these leaders, because this immunity has been misused on many occasions. Whereas it is said that as a leader of such and such position within the government, I have the immunity against any and everything that I have done while I was in that office. How do you unalive people and you still cling to your immunity? Then nobody gets to ask why those innocent people have been unalived. Guys, this is literally to our own detrimental as a people, as citizens. We cannot allow these leaders to come and unalive you at any given time and not be liable with zero liability whatsoever. We cannot allow the police to come in and unalive people, young people who have such a long span of life, and still nothing happens to them, no liabilities whatsoever. The last time I checked, there is right to assembly in almost every constitution around the world. The citizens are given the right to demonstration, the right to assembly. Yet, when the law enforcement is involved, they will put hand to hand. They will literally force you from doing that. Such is what we are witnessing in Kenya right now. But also granted that oftentimes the story on the ground is being told from two different lenses. From the lenses of the person who's telling it, for either the personal gain or for the people. We know that the government always skews numbers, and the government will always speaks on its own behalf. This is not just for the Kenyan government. We've seen that it's what the governments do. And very seldom do you see when the government say, hey, you know what, we've got it wrong. And consequently, we are going to publicly say sorry. They always claim that they have it right. And this is where now the people and those who are in the in the position to either hold the government accountable or the government officials accountable, that's where they come in. Those of you who are whom we call, if you are a Human Rights Watch individual, if you are some sort of advocate, we need you guys. We need you, because you cannot fully trust what these governments are doing, especially nowadays. They have demonstrated on many occasions that their trust is very short. They're not fully trustworthy like they used to be. Now, we do not attribute to every single one of these government leaders, but the most of them, publicly and unapologetically, they demonstrate that they have drunk the power that was given to them by the people. They have forgotten that they are still people's servants. They are the servants, not the chief. Just because you are given a title of being a chief over the people, you are still a servant of the people. The privilege to rule over the people, to rule over the management, or to see over the management that's been trusted with you, does not and will never give you the ability to unalive people. Will never give you the ability to say, I'm going to take your life, or I'm gonna take away your property. So it is very sad to see that Kenya, out of all the African nations that we thought has been stable, that it's still going through this turmoil today. And our condolences go to the families that have been losing their loved one through these demonstrations. Yesterday, as it has been communicated, it was the commemoration of Sabasaba demonstrators. And for those of you guys who are not familiar with the Sabasaba, it derives from back in the 1990s, from what we have read. Before 1990, Kenya was under a one-party system. And the Kenyans decided that, hey, we no longer want to be ruled under one party, and therefore we demand that we have the opportunity to form several parties where we can have different representation. Why? Because it was evident that one party was not, a one-party system was not able to deliver all that the Kenyans wanted. And I believe that actually in the 1990s, several African countries went away from one-party government to multi-party government. The entire East Africa, with the exception of, I think, actually even Tanzania was like that. They have shifted to multi-party system. But because of the infancy, because of the of such a change that took over suddenly, the people have never mastered the responsibility behind having multi-party systems. All of a sudden, you had a child who's taking the responsibility of an elder. Figuratively. I'm not insulting anybody. So you had those people who were unexperienced doing the job of the very seasoned and experienced professionals. And as you can imagine, they were very lousy at what they were doing. And because of those reasons, it got to the point, it was just unbearable. It became unbearable. And the people started speaking very proudly and very loudly. To the degree, now they got to the point they said, enough is enough with this. We're no longer going for this. Either let us rule ourselves according to what we feel and what we see is best for our own interest, or just get out of the way. You guys have witnessed that thousands and thousands and thousands of Kenyans have passed on for these past 15 to 20 years. Many politicians have fought in front of the cameras, fist fight in Kenya, because of literally them showing that they were still in their infancy politically. They could not fight with words. They could only fight physically. They could not articulate their wish, desires, and purpose. And they were channeling that through military. Which is why the governments that have been in power, they were using the police, they were using the military, they were using all kinds of law enforcement agencies to squash the people. Which is why you saw thousands and thousands of deaths. To the degree, the International Criminal Court literally opened case against a lot of Kenyan politicians including the president of Kenya today, but I believe his case was squashed. Which is to say that what is happening today, it's not new. The same discord, the same discontent has continued to boil. Last year, the young people and the Kenyan people, they were against the economic bill, the finance bill. I believe that's how it was labeled. They were so uneasy with the policies that the government had literally formulated for the people, to the degree that they just burn things around. And of course, when you demonstrate peacefully and burn things, that's not peace. That's not peaceful demonstration, which is understood. But at the same time, I don't see how a well-intended leader, authorized military, authorized the police, authorized all kinds of government agencies, law enforcement agencies, to go and unalive people who do not have weapons. Go and publicly unalive young people in front of cameras. You go on social media and you see what the police is doing publicly, shamelessly. Which is where you get to ask, what is happening to African governments? What is happening today, guys? Now, just to make sure that we are not just talking blah, 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 I want you guys to note that in the Kenyan constitution, they allow the people to assemble. They literally allow the people to assemble. And consequently, some people, when they having assembly, there is emotion going there, everybody's charged up. But the police and the law enforcement, they still want to behave like they are the parent. They are the parent in the midst of everything. But not only they are the parent, that they can do as they please at any given time, especially instilling fear among the people. Because we have witnessed where demonstrators were very peaceful and still were attacked by the police. The same was true where the demonstrators were very violent and literally clashed with the police. So we have seen both sides of the coin. And the government has done so little to encourage peaceful demonstration. I have yet to see where the police or the military is literally sidelined and allowing the people to demonstrate and cherry picking those bad apples out of it. Why can't you do that? It is not that you cannot do it. It is simply because somebody behind the scene has been already told that, hey, use forces in these instances. Make sure that the people remember who's in charge here. And that's one of those things that I personally believe that it's dangerous. When a leader believes that he or she has to remind its citizen who's in charge, that's when the very, very, very disrespect of the people shows publicly. When a leader believes that you are beneath him, when you're supposed to work for him, that's when you know that it's no longer a democracy. It's no longer an exchange, a voluntary or an understanding between the people and the leaders. It usually takes a different form. And such is what we are witnessing right now in Kenya. And it's very regrettably that we are seeing it in 2025. I personally thought that this would not be something that we were going to still be talking about, because I thought that Kenya was very mature politically. I thought that the leaders were way, way, way more matured, and they could handle any demonstration, any assembly, be it violent or not, that they could handle it without the loss of life. But we were wrong, as we have already witnessed. Now, because that's where we are today, we also still have to we also still have to wonder, what can we do so that the loss of life aspect stops. We cannot allow people to continuously be in harm's way and become unalived by the police, become unalived by the military. Guys, this is not acceptable in 2025. And that's where I believe that Africans, we ought to get together as one people and correct all these things happening, be it in Kenya, be it in Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, DRC, Burundi, Namibia, Ethiopia, whatever country. It doesn't matter what country that you are in. If you are a leader, a public servant, it doesn't matter how many stars you have as a military. It doesn't matter what type of office that you hold, as high as a president. Not a single human being has the power to unalive another single human being like this. And those of you who believe that you have that kind of power, you are very dangerous, and you never should have occupied the office that you're holding right now. Because they always say that how do I say this proverb in a way that is going to be understood in English? Okay, I will translate it anyway because I can't find the correct words that I want to use in English. So they say that a person who has been instilled with fear, when you beat him up and you harm him and you continue to press him down and press him down and press him down, there become a time when that fear no longer holds him down. And at that point, you should be afraid of what becomes that person. When they're no longer fearful, when they're no longer afraid of what you are going to do. All these things taking place in Kenya or any other African countries where the police, the military, or any form of government, law enforcement, government agent is literally instilling fear in people. Physically, emotionally, or spiritually, then eventually when the people are no longer afraid of you, they will do far more harm than the kind of understanding that we could have been utilizing or sharing as one people if you hadn't gone that route. Guys, just go on social media and take a look of the images and the videos that are coming from Kenya. When the government has done all that they could to literally just slow down the communication. You can find whatever it is you're looking for when you're focused. And as far as we know right now, the world is so small that now one single entity, be it a government or a private agent or private corporation, they can no longer stop things like communication. You can never stop the people from communicating. In today's world, is impossible. You may attempt to do that, but it is just slowing down the rate of communication. Which is why eventually, whatever it is you're hiding, it always comes in light. So parting from this conversation, because we only have been given a little bit of time since we spent a lot of time on the technical side with those who were supposed to have joined the conversation earlier. I wish to communicate to the Kenyan activists, the Kenyan advocates, the political forces in Kenya, and the law enforcement. Either you play by the people's wishes and desires, or you use force as hard as you can, knowing that you won't always be in a position to use force. Using force against the people who are not armed is cowardice. It's a form of being a coward. It is also a form of showing the true colors of those who are literally in power, those who are leading the people, the intentions that they have. There's no way you can justify unaliving a person regardless of how hard they're fighting with you, especially when you have been pre-trained to deal with the people who are going crazy. There's a reason why a police agency and a military agency are very unique and specialized organizations. They have been pre-trained to deal with all kinds of riots, all kinds of shenanigans that the people would do. It's like you employing a high professional at home who's going to deal with some of your crazy kids. Just because your child is going crazy and mad, it doesn't mean that you have to unalive them. But when you know that they're going through that phase of life, you bring someone whose competence in literally diffusing the craziness is merited, is warranted. Which is why you are called the police. Which is why you are called the army or the specialized law enforcement. It is not to bring you chase and say, hey, by the way, I was gonna use a term that's not appropriate. I'm the one in charge. I'm the head and in charge. Some of you are like that towards the people. And you know, if there is anything that I know of Gen Zs today, even not just Gen Zs, us the people, is someone who brings the chase and pull it out there like they are gods or little mini gods. That literally is a dead on arrival kind of preposition. And unfortunately, politicians, they have yet to still understand that today's politics is no longer the same politics that their great-great-great-grandparents used to use or used to write on. So, taking away with this conversation, I literally want to pass our condolences to those both from the law enforcement side but also the people who have perished and who have lost their lives. It was not necessary that either the police, the military, or the people lose their lives, because at the end of the day, these are all still Kenyan citizens. These are all still the people who belong to the same country, regardless of who's literally pushing what. There are to be ways to amicably and intelligently deal with our differences. And anytime we show that we are not capable of doing that, that is simply also demonstrating that we are still immature to deal or to handle with those kind of situations. So the police gets my 0 and the military gets 0. Because one life is too many that has been lost. Several lives, several thousands of people have already perished. It doesn't matter what kind of excuses, it doesn't matter what kind of what kind of reason behind why you find it necessary to actually shoot live bullets with people who do not have guns. It's not a fair fight. If you are going to use live bullets, you might as well let the people bring their own guns. Because if you bring a gun on a fist fight as a means to control me, I can already see that you're the coward. There are ways to diffuse. There are ways to de-escalate. Use those ways. Anything short of that, it is only going to fuel what's already there. So young people, I know it is difficult to tell you this, but you also gotta find a way to communicate your wishes, your desires, without having to really be bad apples, without having to fight, without having to destroy properties. We know that anytime we have these demonstrations, oftentimes properties are one of the most things that are destroyed, let alone people's lives. It's not okay to communicate your frustration by destroying another business. It is not okay to communicate your frustration by literally unaliving another fellow citizen. Communicate your frustrations in the best way that do not involve destruction of property, destruction of another person's life, and so on. If we can learn how to express ourselves without having to take a life, without having to go to the extremes, then we have matured politically. Then we have matured as a society. But right now, we literally are getting 0. The frustration won't go away, but also these fights won't go away. You know, there are people who do not forget when they are being wronged. Some of those people, they will carry those burdens, they will carry those pains to their grave, to the degree they will wait and have vengeance when you're least expecting it. And these are the cycles that we do not want to be in as Africans. There's so much work to do that the last thing we need to be doing is fighting with one another and aliving one another. Why waste out those precious lives when you don't know what they should be becoming tomorrow? These young people, 16, 17, 18, 19, they still have a whole life ahead of them. These police officers and the military that is going in and literally unaliving these young people, this is not acceptable. It is not acceptable by the Kenyan standard. It is not acceptable by the African standards. It is not acceptable by anybody who truly loves another fellow human being. So we have to literally say no. We have to say no to what is happening in Kenya, because it is literally regrettable that it's happening. And those people who are in charge, they ought to be fired without literally even having any apologies. Because they're simply showing that either they're incompetent in what they do, or they just don't know how to utilize the resources at their disposal. And if there are no resources, there's always somebody who's liability, who calls the shot. If they cannot rule the people, if they cannot manage the people accordingly, then they need to get out of the way. So that's it for me, guys. Let me get out of here before they push me out of this desk. But I regret the fact that we were unable to connect to our colleagues in Kenya. We tried, guys. We tried for like 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, but they just still couldn't make it through. For some reason, the communication is still very erratic in Kenya right now. But I do hope that we can still have a live conversation with them when they are able to come online. We tried all our means to get in touch with them unsuccessfully, and I feel so terrible about that. So with that in mind, guys, let me greet and say thank you to every single one of you guys who have been a part of the broadcast today. Please take a look at the Saba movement. The Saba movement and what they are, and what they stand for. And these are the things, young people, that are very relevant. Very, very relevant. Just because you see someone on the street and you've never taken the time to understand why they are on the street and why they keep on coming and coming and coming and coming after multiple beatings, after multiple crimes against them, get to know that that person is very dedicated to the cause that they are after. So I want to give a shout out to those activists in Kenya who have really worked so hard to the degree they put their lives in danger to send us images, videos, pictures, so that we can actually share them with the world. When someone is coming for you and your family, and you have no means to call out for help, we have to remember that we are one people, one family. We may speak several different languages, but we share the humanity. We share the Ubuntu. So I do not need to know you or your whole history to know that you are a fellow human being like myself. I did not know to know whom you have offended, to know that I can still have compassion for you, despite the fact that you may have, offended somebody else. So let us maintain this Ubuntu family. It is the only one thing that we have as human beings that separates us from the animal kingdom. Even though we have noticed and we have taken note that most of us are literally losing this quality, this Ubuntu quality. And it's so regrettable that we are literally losing this quality that makes us who we are as a people. So I literally want to plea with you, the people, to please do what you can so that we can bring back the Ubuntu amongst us as families. Let's try to be understanding with one another, and let's make sure that if we set up institutions or agencies that are trusted with handling different scenarios, different circumstances, different tasks or activities within our societies, we give them a chance to do what they have to do. But giving them a chance does not mean that we cannot check them It does not mean that we cannot literally oversee what they are doing. We can do all of that, but at the same time allow them to have a little breathe. And for you, the police and the military, please leave us alone as a people. There will be a time when you keep on literally unaliving these people. Eventually, you are going to. There is a president in Africa who usually say, when you get past the red line, it buffers my mind every time I hear of that statement, because they are very good in communicating to the people, but they're never good in communicating to themselves the same statements that they communicate with other, with other nations or people, as long as it doesn't pertain to them. So, guys, that's it for me for today. Let's get out of here. We have utilized so much time with the broadcast. Let's move on to other things since the business of today continues. Please get in touch with us, especially those of you in Kenya who have the latest information. Let us know what is happening, and we prefer to have the facts. We prefer to have the facts. If you have a video, if you have audio, if you have pictures, we will prefer those the best, because image, videos speaks for themselves. So if you do have any of those, use our contact information to get in touch. If they can put up our telephone number there so you can have it. Both WhatsApp and Telegram number, the studio number is +1 240 626 7268. +1 240 626 7268. And our main email, it's info@AfriDominion.com. info@AfriDominion.com. If you use those contacts, you are surely to reach us. It may not necessarily be me, but you will surely reach the studio and whoever that will be working at the time. So with that in mind, guys, let me say goodbye for you for now, as we have so many other programs. I have to let my colleagues also take on and continue with the conversation as it happens. But I also want to say that we will never stop being activists. We will never stop speaking on behalf of our people. The families who are voiceless, the communities that are voiceless, even nations that can no longer speak for themselves. We have them in Africa. Last but not the least, we intend to literally collapse these invisible borders amongst African families. I dream of a day that Africa will be one people, one nation. One people, one nation. And it's not so far. We will see that in our lifetime. We will literally see that in this lifetime of ours. Guys, with that in mind, I want to wish you a beautiful afternoon. For those of you on our time here in the United States, if you go on to bed, I want to wish you a beautiful evening. If you're just waking up, I also want to wish you a super fantastic day. I am Freeman Singirankabo here at AfriDominion Studio. Until we see you tomorrow, have a beautiful day, and so long for now.